You see, this was an incredible message. But let's be honest. You and I, as well as the shepherds, don't expect laughter from God. The news that God had come and he had nappy hair and brown skin, wearing a diaper, was the last thing anyone would expect. A nappy hair baby, wearing a diaper, crying, uncontrolled, because he's ready to eat. You see, we think of God of the universe like Isaiah described, high and lifted up. Well, he is. But if anything, he would come in judgment and power of mystery. But at very least, he would arrive with trumpets and the parting of seas and the quivering of all creation. But he came just like we arrive, vulnerable, small, full of hope, the subject to hurts and disappointment in our life. He came just like all of us, naked in his world. Why in the world we wearing clothes? Oh, that's another topic. We know why. You see, he was here to love us. What incredible news, my brothers and sisters. William Young. William was a young man. Story told that he messed up his life so bad for just 32 years. He was going to commit suicide. He hired a coach to take him to the Thames River Bridge in London. He stood overlooking the river for what seemed like hours, trying to get up the courage to jump, but he couldn't do it. So he walked home and took out a butcher knife and attempted to fall on it. The blade broke off, and he didn't get a scratch on it. So he took a rope and tried to hang himself in the kitchen, but only succeeded in losing enough oxygen to pass out. The cleaning woman found him early the next morning, took him to the hospital where he recovered quickly. 3 times in one night, William Cowper survived self-murder. He began to say, God, help me. He found the strength to have faith, to confess, to seek the will of God. He was saved, transformed, and became a great author. And we sang a hymn that young William Cowper wrote not long after that experience. And it says, there is a fountain filled with blood, draws from Emmanuel's veins, and sinners plunge beneath the flood, lose all their guilty stains. You see, this was true for William Cowper. It's available to all who decide. Some of the people, the shepherds, told the good news were indecisive men. You can't be neutral with Jesus. He calls us to be decision makers, my brothers and sisters. God doesn't want any wishy-washy people. You either hot or cold. No in between, my brothers and sisters. But the final notice in this passage, it says the shepherds went back. You see, they heard, they responded, and they told folks along the way. But what we have to realize is that they went back praising, glorifying, and praising God for all they have heard and seen, just as he had been told. You see, the shepherds returned to their fields. Christ wants ambassadors in every walk of life, my brothers and sisters. Don't matter if you think you don't have what it takes to reach out, to tell people, oh, I don't know enough of the Bible. I don't know what to say. But God will give you the words to say when you don't know the words to say. God will give you a song to sing when you can't even remember the words to the song. God will give you a new song to sing, my brothers and sisters. You have to just trust in him. You see, the shepherds return. They return, my brothers and sisters. and went back to work, but they went back differently than they've been. They rejoiced over the astonishing news they witnessed. And the primary difference was in that they retold the story then. And we can be certain today that we have to continue telling the story. A beggar who finds bread tells other beggars where the source is, right? You see, what change can the witness of a child in a manger make? We see in the life of the shepherd's transformation. This is what happens when Jesus comes to in your life. When we give ourselves to him, he might be the Lord and Savior. There is a change to our lives. We begin to live differently, my brothers and sisters. We become those peculiar people. And the changes are often seen day in and day out. If we haven't changed in 30 years, something has got to be wrong. You see, our lives are different, my brothers and sisters, because he makes the difference. You see, that's the greatest news, that the Christmas means you can be born again. He came into your heart and changed your world. We can say, for unto us, unto me, a Savior is born. You see, in these events that we are living in these days, the hearts of men will faint. In such events, it will be easy to lose hope unless we certainly understand what biblical hope is. You see, if we take a look at what this hope is. Hope, what does hope mean to us? Hope is not a wish. You see, a hope is not a wish of some kind. It's a joyful, confident expectation of what God is going to do on your behalf. Well, let me say that again. Amen. Hope is a joyful, confident expectation of what God is going to do on your behalf. Amen. You see, the Bible tells us in Romans that certain thing. You see, Abraham had no natural hope to have a child, but based on the promises of God, he had hope and made this hope sure by his faith. We see that hope is alive. When everything else seems like it's dying all around us, our hope is alive. New birth into our living hope. Biblical hope is alive. It's vital. It's based on the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Hope's companions, faith and love. Not only it belongs to our virtues of faith, hope, and love, but of love of God, the joy of God, and the peace that surpasses all understanding. You see, 1 Thessalonians 1:3 says, work produced by faith, labor by love, and endurance by hope. Hope, contribution to our lives, is essential for us to continue on this journey. It plants us firm, my brothers and sisters. It anchors our soul. Hebrews 6:18-19 tells us, God did this so that by two unchangeable things in which it is impossible for God to lie, we who have fled to take hold of the hope set before us may be greatly encouraged. You see, we have this, it says we have this hope as an anchor for the soul, the firm and secure. It enters the inner sanctuary behind the curtain. Hope. Hope produces patience. Romans talks about the suffering, patience, and character, and hope. Hope purifies.